Today's going to be a great one because we're going to be using Python, Anaconda Launcher, Jupyter Notebook, and we're going to be using Pandas and Matplotlib to create our very own chart. So to get started, obviously you can make a new folder on your desktop, or in your case, you can have a desktop folder that you can store your file in. So in my case, I have a folder, and make sure you have Anaconda Launcher installed in your PC. I have got Anaconda Launcher installed, but if you don't have it installed, you could go to Anaconda Cloud and download the Anaconda Launcher, or you could go over and go to your command prompt. If you're in Windows, then you can go to command prompt and do a pip install, or if you are not using command prompt if you're in Mac OS and you're not using command prompt, then you can definitely use terminal. So now that I've cleared out what I'm using for today's video, I'm obviously using Jupyter Notebook to write the codes in Python, so make sure you have Anaconda Launcher if you want to use Jupyter Notebook. So let's go ahead and launch Anaconda Launcher and launch Jupyter Notebook. If you don't know what Jupyter Notebook is, it's a web-based interactive computing notebook environment. Edit and run humanable, readable docs while describing the data analysis. So let's launch Jupyter Notebook, and let's wait for Jupyter Notebook to launch. And there you go, we're in Jupyter Notebook. If by any chance you lose the vintage and you're like, where did the vintage go? Then you can obviously go ahead and retype this little host and go ahead and hit enter, and you're brought back to Jupyter Notebook. So now that I've made myself clear on how to bring back Jupyter Notebook lost file, let's go ahead and make our new file. So let's go over to desktop, and let's go ahead and select our data visualization folder. You can make one if you don't have one. You could just go to your desktop, right-click, new folder, and just give it a data visualization name. Since in my case I already have one, I'm just going to click on it and give it a new Python notebook, Python 3 notebook. For this tutorial, I'm actually using Python version 3. If you're in any other version of Python, I think you can follow up just fine, but please do use the latest version of Blender. I mean, not Blender, why Blender? Python, because it's really important. Let's go ahead and hit Python 3, and let's go over to Jupyter Notebook. So if you're not familiar with Jupyter Notebook's little interface, then you can obviously go check out CS Dojo's video on that. It's really, really helpful, but in my case, I'm not going to be going through all of them. If you do want one tutorial on that, you can definitely leave a comment down below, and I'll be more than happy to tell you guys how it's done. So let's go ahead and name this something, Jupyter Notebook file, and let's go ahead and name this chart. Alright, let's go ahead and name this notebook chart, and let's go ahead and hit rename. And now that we have a chart notebook, let's go ahead and mark out a little message that's going to tell us what we're going to do today. So let's add a hash, and let's write, today we are going to make pandas, matplotlib, Python 3, and we're going to be using Jupyter Notebook. So I'm just going to write conda. So we're going to be using these stuff to make our little line chart. So let's go ahead and run this cell. In Jupyter Notebook, instead of saying a block of code, we call that a cell. So let's just run the cell, and there you can see we have a little dialog box telling us what we're going to do. This dialog box doesn't have anything related to the code that we'll write, but it just helps to clear out a few things in our head. So the first thing that we wrote in the message is importing in pandas. So let's go ahead and import pandas in. If you don't have pandas installed, don't worry. Anaconda Launcher comes along with pandas, so there's no need to worry. So let's just go ahead and type import pandas as PD. And then if we run the cell, you can see it's perfectly normal. Then let's go ahead and import matplotlib. So let's try from matplotlib, import pyplot. Pyplot is a module as POT. POT is a nickname. So let's run this cell. And what we're basically saying here is from matplotlib. Matplotlib is a little library we're going to import in pyplot. Pyplot is a module, and we're going to import pyplot as a POT, which is a nickname. You can give it any nickname, but for in my case, the most common one is going to be POT. Same for pandas. We just imported pandas, and we're importing pandas as a nickname, which is PD. So now let's go ahead and make our little line chart. So to start, we just need to determine a few values. So let's go ahead and type X for x-axis and type equals, and then capital brackets 1 by 2 by 1. And then let's hit enter. Do not enter the cell or you'll find that nothing happens. So let's go ahead and hit enter. Y equals capital brackets 2 by 2 by 2. Let's go ahead and hit enter. And the last code we have to type is plt.plot brackets x and y. And if I run this cell, you can see that we made a pretty basic chart. And now you might ask me a question that how do we give this a title? So to give this a title, all you need to type right on top of this, you need to type plt.title title, and then name it chart or whatever you want. So let's go run the cell again, and you can see we've given it a name. Now you might ask, how do we label the x-axis and the y-axis? I mean the x-axis and the y-axis. The easiest way to do it is just going enter underneath it and typing plt.xlabel x. Run the cell, and there you can see we've determined that. And let's go ahead and do the same thing, plt.ylabel parentheses y. Run the cell, and you can see we've determined the y. Now you might also ask that how can we put a z-axis on this? The easiest way to do that is just doing the same thing. Z equals capital brackets 1 by 2 by 1, 1 by 2 by 1. And if I run this cell, let's go for about 1 by 1 by 1. Okay, let's go for 1 by 1 by 1. And if I run the cell, you can see nothing happens. The reason to that is you want to plot in the z-axis in the plot section. So all you do is parentheses z. Then run the cell, and you can see we have brought a z-axis. Now with all of these lines in this chart, it's getting hard to determine what values are what. So what lines are what, sorry. So we can just add a legend right underneath the plot system. All we have to do is type in plt.legend and then give it brackets, and then just put these columns and then type x and y. And then if I run the cell, sorry, x and z, and then run the cell, you can see that we've determined the x and z with a legend. Now you're going to be like, okay, we've done everything. Now how do we export this? If you're using Chrome, Firefox, or Safari, you could just right click on the image and hit save images as, and just save it on the location. But that's not the convenient way to do it. The convenient way to do it is hitting plt.savefig. That means export the image, and then put columns, I mean the brackets, and then just give a semicolon. And then all you need to do is type the name of the export. So I'm just going to name the export chart. And then if I run the cell, you can see if I go back to my data visualization folder in my desktop, there's a little file called chart. And if I double click on the chart file, you can see our chart is inside of our exported folder. So now that you guys know how to make your own chart, I hope you guys can have some fun with your own charts, and I hope you guys go check out my Patreon for the final file so you guys can support the channel, and as well as teach your guys selves how to do this coding if you're confused. And obviously if you guys are new, please be sure to subscribe and leave a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.